Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. So we'll be starting. Others will be joining us shortly. Welcome to this webinar. And with this webinar basically is for the May 2025 ICANN exam diet. And then we're focusing mainly on just two papers. And the first paper is the strategic financial management. And then the second one is the performance management. So today's webinar will be focused on talking about how these two papers actually relate in a way. And then we'll look at a topic that actually relates the two levels together. And then the webinar from tomorrow, we are going to be splitting. So we're going to be having core SFM papers or core performance management papers. And we're going to be looking at focus areas, at least for this May 2025 exams, right? So, and that's what we are going to be dealing with, all right? So I need everyone to pay attention. The approach that's going to be given to you here will be a no-thinking approach that you get into the exam hall and you get a minimum of 50, and then you come out with a flying color. And that's the approach you're going to be given. I understand very well that performance management and strategic financial management actually, you know, they have different tricks, different computations, different styles and methods, right? So, but what you should know as a student actually is to stick to one that actually works for you, not jumping from book to book and all of that. So basically, before we go into the papers proper, we're going to be looking at how to actually pass your exams, you know, at one sitting, right? So regardless of whether you have written this paper before, performance management, because there's a general belief that performance management actually is the most difficult paper to write at the skills level for ICANN. And if you get to the professional level also, which I don't even know why people think that strategic financial management also is as difficult as anything, right? These two papers are actually easy to pass, and again, very easy to fail, all right? And so tonight, I'm going to be telling you what you need actually to pass the coming exam, right? You don't have to write it again. As you're going into the exam hall, you are going with the mindset that, look, this is the last time I would ever have to write this paper. And that's why we have this webinar. So this webinar will be for as long as maybe 6 days, and we're going to be covering everything that you need to know before you go into your exam hall. All right, so I will need you to bring your questions, and I'll also be giving you assignments on this channel for you to practice. And also, some of you already have a group. You can bring in your questions that has to do with strategic financial management or the performance management, and then we'll attend to that. So we're going to be doing a lot of practices together, and then also let's see how far we can go with this webinar. This is the first of its kind, and ACC has actually been doing it in the past, and it has worked for them. So we thought that, oh, it would be nice if we can actually start ICANN webinar. For every diet that we have, we're going to be looking at webinars that has to do with exams. So part of what we're going to be doing actually is looking at past questions, looking at trends, right? What they've tested over time, areas where your examiners actually, you know, are likely to bring questions from where they think students don't actually know. And the funny thing is that those areas that your examiners think that are very, very difficult, those are the areas they keep bringing out. And students are still not aware that, look, for you to sit for SFM or a performance management paper, you need to actually practice and actually understand these areas of your syllabus. And that becomes very, very important and key for you to, you know, achieve success in this exam, right? So now I have some few points that we're going to be looking at. I want to believe you can see my screen. Please, can you still see my screen? Comment yes if you can see my screen. Everyone, please comment yes if you can see my screen. All right, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so the first thing we are looking at here, look at here. The first one is to understand the structure of your exam. This is very, very key. You can't say that you want to go in for an examination, right? Such as the SFM exam and or the performance management exam, and you don't understand how the exam is structured. What are the areas? What are the ones that actually carry a lot of marks, right? So you need to familiarize with yourself with the syllabus of the exam, the format of the paper, and also to know how you can actually focus on your preparation. And that's the first point here. You need to understand the examination structure, right? The way PM is structured is different from the way strategic management exam is structured. The way you attack your case study is not the same way you attack your strategic financial management. The way you read your audit and assurance papers or advanced audit or advanced tax is not the same way you read SFM or performance management. These two papers require you to actually put your hands on practicing, right? So you need to understand the structure of the exam, right? And if you look at the second point here, you need to create a study plan. A study plan. You can't just wake up and say, oh, today, as the case may be, you want to read SFM. Tomorrow you want to read case study. You don't have a study plan. If you have a timetable, what are the topics? When you give yourself these achievable goals, you'll be able to know, oh, today I want to cover Forex. Tomorrow I want to cover merger and acquisition in SFM. Next tomorrow, okay, I want to do case study now. Which topic? Now break all this, your strategies and your plans into the smallest unit. And every day you must ensure that you are actually tracking your progress as you're studying. You may be reading and it's doing you like, oh, it looks like nothing is entering, right? It's possible that you're reading and it's doing you like you're not reading. Yes, it's actually very, very possible. But the truth of the matter is every time you read, there's always what you call a residual knowledge. What do I mean? A residual knowledge is something you have read and then something like a residue just dropped at the back of your mind. So those things may just be what will help you tomorrow while you are in the exam hall. So just continue to practice, continue to actually study, and you'll be fine. Please, if you can still hear me and you can see the screen, please comment yes on the group, on the live chat, please. So I'm sure I'm not talking to myself. Please just comment yes. Thank you, Mr. Joshua. Thank you. Yes, Ada, thank you. All right, so let's proceed. That's the second one. You must try as much as possible to create a study plan. Create a study plan. Now, if you look at the third one, this you cannot even overemphasize this guy here. Practice past questions. Practice past questions, right? So we have seen instances where questions are repeated. Imagine that you practice a question 1 in a particular diet, and lo and behold, you get into this May diet 2025 exam, and then the same question is staring at you in the examination hall. So what would you do? So there's always a learning curve. If you have practiced a question over and over, or you practice a particular question, if you see that same question, the average time you're going to be spending to actually solve that question in the exam hall will definitely reduce. And so this becomes very, very, very important for you to practice your past papers. And again, I need to emphasize that when you're practicing PM and SFM, and this is the problem here, what students do is they bring in two documents. One has a question and the other one has the answer. All they are doing is just trying to audit the answer. This is not the right or effective way to practice SFM or performance management. The effective way to practice is closing the solution page and then put your pen to paper and then try to solve using the concepts of that exam that you know already, or that topic that you already know. And that's how you know whether you're making progress. You don't audit answers. And that's what a lot of people do. Oh, they added 1 to 2, or they added 3 to 4. That's why they got 5 or got 7 and all of that. This is not how to practice. Practicing performance management, practicing strategic financial management entails you to actually put your pen to paper and close the solution and then try to solve it using the technique or using whatever thing that you have actually learned about that topic, applying those those concepts and then trying to solve. And that's how you actually do an effective practicing. That's number 3. Now going to number 4, examination strategy. Examination strategy. Now, the problem again is that it's possible that you know this course back to front, but you may get to the exam hall and still you don't know what happened and the person is failing. You've had instances that people will say, oh, I even taught this person in the exam hall, in the class before the exam, and the person passed, I taught the person, I failed. So what actually makes a difference within that 3 1/4 hours that is given to you is actually you being able to understand the examination strategy, and then you also able to focus on what you want to achieve within that 3 hours without interrupting what you're thinking. So during the exam, what you need to do first is to read the questions carefully, right? And again, after reading the question, one other thing you must understand is actually how to manage your time effectively. Time management is very, very key. The truth of the matter is, I've never seen anybody that say, no, I'm writing PM, or I wrote PM or SFM exam, and then I have enough time to finish. I've never seen. You always see 1 or 2 things to write. And the reason is because the examination is not only testing your ability to actually understand all the questions they're asking you. Part of what they are testing is actually your ability to be able to work under pressure. So when they put you under exam condition, how fast will you be able to achieve this, set goals and objectives within this time limit of these 3 hours? And that's part of what your exam is actually, testing. And then every exam, there are actually opportunities, or there are, how do I put it now? There are actually everything that will just tempt you in the exam hall, such as a question that you know so well coming out. Now, when you see a question that you know so well, and they say this question is for 5 minutes, and then you see, it's for 5 marks. You see somebody trying to spend 1 hour on such question, or even 30 minutes of such question. That is actually a very wrong thing to do in the exam, because every exam you definitely see a question that you love so much, and then by the time you start attacking these questions using your emotion, it becomes very, very difficult for you to achieve other targets or other goals, and so for you to be able to move into the next question, right? And then again, one other thing that you need to remember is actually allowing yourself to be timed out by the examiner. Timing out means that you're solving a question. You have other cheap questions at the back of your, at the back of the question paper. You will see question 7, question 6. Those questions are actually 15 marks, and they are designed to actually be very, very cheap. They are easy marks that you can pick there. 6A, 7B, here and there. You can see 3 marks, 2 marks here and there. The moment the examiner tells you 30 minutes more to go, the next thing you need to do is to leave whatever question you're solving that's giving you a headache to go and start hunting for marks. And now, every time you're in the exam hall, what you're doing in the exam is like you're just trying to hunt for marks. You're hunting for marks. All right. And that's one of the things you must actually know also as part of the exam strategy. Now, let's go to the 5th one. The 5th one is managing your stress. Right? Managing your stress, right? You can't continue to read overnight. You're not sleeping, you're not resting. The truth of the matter is, if you don't give yourself a break, if you don't rest a bit, your assimilation rate will definitely reduce. As you prepare for exam now, right? I think you just have basically 1 month to your exam, or 1.5 months to the exam. There are temptations here and there, right? Take this textbook, take this one, come, let's sleep in class and all that. You're not eating well, you're not taking a break, you're not sleeping well. By the time you're trying to read, it's possible that this would actually impair how much you can actually take, how much you can actually read. And this becomes also a problem for you in the exam, right? Not being able to assimilate so well. And again, one thing people do is that they write too many papers. You know yourself very well. You know what works for you. Look at the structure of all the papers you want to write, right? 5, 6 papers. I'm not saying that writing 5 or 6 is not doable. It's very, very doable. As a matter of fact, when I was writing my own for ICANN, I did 5 all through, right? When I was writing ACC, I took 2, right? And then I was done, right? So what I'm saying is, if you don't have the time, you can't stretch yourself beyond that limit. There may not be a need for you to pack as many papers as possible. You remember that your SFM and performance management in some universities, there are 4 years course, and then you are expected to do this within 3 or 4 months in ICANN, and then to pass and pass well. So that means the syllabus is so robust enough, to take your time. So if you're not sure of all the time in the world that you have, it means that you need to actually, try to strategize and know how many papers your capability or you're capable of actually doing before you just carry 5 and then you're not resting. And then instead of passing 1, 2, you fail all of them, which I don't believe that will happen to anybody here. As long as you're on this webinar, whatever thing we're going to be doing will be just good enough for you to go and pass at least, or to get at least 50 marks, to just pass this paper once and for all. All right. And so the last one we'll be looking at is your focus area, right? Focus areas. Now, there are some areas where students don't like at all. Students don't like them. For instance, if I talk about risk management in strategic financial management, right? Where you talk about currency risk, interest rate risk, or even talking about international investment appraisal, there are students that don't like anything that has to do with exchange rate because they feel it stresses them, right? If you come to performance management also, there are some students that don't like a particular course, maybe your risk and uncertainty. In fact, some persons don't like variance analysis. Just imagine that in PM, you said you're not going to be doing anything that has to do with variance analysis. And lo and behold, like it happened to them last night, you got to the exam hall and your question 1 is variance. If you say you are not doing investment appraisal, you go to the exam hall and your question 1 is investment appraisal. The moment you cite that question, already you are demoralized. Even if you know what to write, the fact that a question that you never thought it would come out is coming out for 30 marks is enough to just throw you off balance. And this is the problem here. All right. So my advice will always be that you do not cherry pick what you're reading, right? Gone are those days that it was very easy to predict what ICANN would set, right? If you go back to 2017, 2018, you could just look at the trend analysis. Oh, variance was tested this diet. No, next diet it will not be tested. 2019 also, something like that. But recently, it becomes very difficult. What it means is that they can bring in portfolio today, and then next diet, if they feel that a lot of students still don't understand the concept of portfolio, or they see that the attempt rate is actually low, they can decide to bring it in again and bring it in again until they feel very comfortable. At PM level, skills level, there was this diet for good 2 years. They continue to test economic value added. And every time they bring it out, they will say, students are yet to understand the concept of economic value added. They will bring it again in another diet. They continue to do that until recently they stopped. They did that also for activity-based costing. So what I'm saying here is you cannot cherry pick what you're reading. You cannot cherry pick what you're going to be studying as long as your target is to get 50 marks. What I will advise you to do is to stretch yourself within this 1 month that is left for the exam, right? Stretch yourself, practice, and also look at everything in the syllabus, everything. Don't cherry pick, all right? And that's just the little, advice that I have for you as long as this coming exam is concerned. For those of you that already have my handle, you can always reach out for me if you have any issue in any of this paper. All right.